And welcome to Preeminent Test Prep. Today I'll be taking you through the Math No Calculator section of SAT Practice Test 10. I'll be showing you how to move efficiently through this section and how to recognize patterns on the SAT Math section to hopefully improve your score. Make sure to subscribe as we'll be releasing videos on every section of all 10 College Board release practice tests. Now, let's get started. Question 1. What value of z satisfies the equation above? So we have 2z plus 1 equals z. So I'm going to go ahead and isolate z by subtracting 2z from both sides. Z minus 2z gets me negative z. So I have negative z equals 1, which means that negative 1 will equal z. So my answer will be B. Question 2. A television with a price of $300 is to be purchased with an initial payment of $60 and weekly payments of $30. Which of the following equations can be used to find the number of weekly payments W required to complete the purchase, assuming there are no taxes or fees? Well, we know $300 is our total cost. We know we are initially paying $60, and we know we are paying $30 every week, which is represented by W. So we have 300 equals 30W plus 60, which is C. Question 3. The table above shows shipping charges for an online retailer that sells sporting goods. There is a linear relationship between the shipping charge and the weight of the purchase. Which function can be used to determine the total shipping charge f of x in dollars for an order with a merchandise weight of x pounds? Well, we know it's a linear relationship, so we can go ahead and check our answers, make sure they're all linear. They are. And then we can go back up, take a look at the data. So we know we go from 5 to 10. So an increase of 5, and we go from 1694 to 2189, which is an increase of 4.95. So just looking at this, we know that if we were to go from 5 to 0, we know we'd go down about $5. We'd be right around 11 or 12. So we can go ahead and look down here. This one, it doesn't even have anything here. So we know A is out, we know C is out because it doesn't have anything as a y-intercept, and we know at 0 there is some still left. And then we know D is also out because it has that plus 1694 when x is 0, but 1694 is the total when x is 5. So we know that D is out. And we take a look at B, we have 0.99x plus 11.99. Well, if we go back here, we can see at 0, we would be at plus 11.99 because we would be subtracting 4.95 from 16.94. So we know that that is correct. Question 4. The line in the xy plane above represents the relationship between the height h of x in feet and the base diameter x in feet for cylindrical Doric columns in ancient Greek architecture. How much greater, so we're looking for the difference because it's how much greater, is the height, so that's going to be our y variable, of a Doric column that has a base diameter of 5 feet than the height of a Doric column that has a base diameter of 2 feet. So we're looking at the difference between f of 5 and f of 2. Right? So our difference is going to be our y distance on the graph here. Right? So right here. So we have 35 minus 14. 35 minus 14 is equal to 21. So 21 will be our answer, 21 feet, which is C. Question 5. If x is greater than 0, which of the following is equivalent to the given expression? The square root of 9x squared, right? So the square root of 9x squared, we know that 9 is equivalent to 3 squared. So we have 3 squared x squared, right? So the square root of 3 squared x squared just becomes 3x. So the answer is A. Question 6. What are all values of x that satisfy the equation above? Well, the first thing we're going to have to do is get rid of our denominator by multiplying by x minus 1. We have to multiply x minus 1 by both sides. So we're left with x squared minus 1 equals negative 2 times x minus 1. So we go ahead and distribute our negative 2. And we get negative 2x, and then we have negative 2 times negative 1, which gets us plus 2. So we have negative 2x plus 2 equals x squared minus 1. We have to get everything on one side and set it to equal to 0 and then solve for our x. So we're going to go ahead and add 2x and subtract 2 to each side. So we're left with x squared plus 2x, and then we have negative 1 minus 2, which gives us negative 3, equals 0. Now we're looking for factors of negative 3 that add to 2. Okay, so what are our factors of negative 3 that add to 2? Well, we could have 3 and negative 1, right? Because 3 plus negative 1 is the same as 3 minus 1, and that gets us 2. And we also have 3 times negative 1, which gets us negative 3. So we are going to have x plus 3 times x minus 1. And those are going to be this factored out, right? So now what we have to do is we have to set our x plus 3 and our x minus 1 equal to 0. Or you can just remember that x plus 3 means that x will equal negative 3. And we know x minus 1 will mean that x will equal 1. So we know our potential x values are negative 3 and 1. So now we have to go back and check them, right? So if we plug in 1 for x, we would have 1 squared, which will be 1. 1 minus 1, that's going to be 0, right? Now if we have 0 as the numerator, we can't equal negative 2. So we know that 1 cannot equal x. Another way to know that 1 cannot equal x is because it's in our denominator down here. If we set our denominator equal to 0, we would see that x cannot equal 1. Now we'll plug in negative 3 to check that. And when we plug in negative 3, we would get negative 3 squared. Negative 3 squared is the same as 3 squared, which is 9. 9 minus 1, that gets us 8. And then we have negative 3 minus 1, that gets us negative 4. So we have 8 divided by negative 4, which does equal negative 2. So therefore we know that x equals negative 3. Question 7. The graph of y equals f of x is shown in the xy plane. What is the value of f of 0? F of 0 just means that 0 is our x plot point, right? So we just find 0 on our graph. We go up to where it intersects the line, which is at point 4. So the value of f of 0 is 4. So it is D. Question 8. In the figure above, point B lies on AD. What is the value of 3x? Okay, well we see how we have a right angle here, and we know that AD is a straight line, which means we must also have a right angle on this side. A right angle is 90 degrees, so we know 90 degrees must equal x plus 2x plus 2x. Right? X plus 2x is 5x. So we have 5x equals 90. Divide both sides by 5 to solve for x. So we have 90 over 5 equals x. And then 90 over 5 is going to equal 18. So we have 18 degrees equals x. But the answer is not A. In the SAT, they can put answers that seem right as you're halfway through the problem. But you always have to pay attention to what the question is asking you. The question is, what is the value of 3x? Well, 3x means 3 times 18. 3 times 18 is 54. So the correct answer is 54, which is C. You always want to be paying attention to what the question is asking. Question 9. Which of the following is an equation of line L, there should be an L here, in the xy plane above? Well, we know the equation's linear, which all of our answer choices are, so there's nothing we can rule out there. Now we know y-intercept, our y-intercept is negative 4, and we know our slope is negative 1 because we go down 4, we go over 4. So our rise is negative 4 and our run is 4, which means our slope is negative 1. Okay, so our equation is going to be y equals negative x minus 4, right? So now we just got to find which equation matches. Well, what do we know here? We know that we just have to maneuver this, so we have maneuver this equation so that it's in this form with an x and then a y, right? So if we want an x and then a y, we can just go ahead, we can add x to each side. So now we have y plus x equals negative 4. If y plus x equals negative 4, that also means that x plus y equals negative 4. So we'll go ahead and put that down and see if any of our answers match that. Okay, x plus y equals negative 4. Yep, so our answer will be C. Question 10. The graph of y equals 2x squared plus 10x plus 12 is shown. If the graph crosses the y-axis at point 0, k, what is the value of k? Well, we know that at point 0, k, it just means we're putting in 0 for x. So we'll have 2 times 0 squared plus 10 times 0 plus 12. Well, we know 2 times 0 squared is 0, 10 times 0 is 0, and then plus 12, that means k will equal 12. Question 11. A circle in the xy plane has center 5, 7, and radius 2. Which of the following is an equation of the circle? Well, right off the bat, I know the equation for a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where our center is hk. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and plug in my points, right? So I have x minus 5 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals my radius squared. My radius is 2, so it'll equal 2 squared. I know 2 squared is 4, so I know it's going to equal 4, so I can go ahead and get rid of c and d. And then I know I have x minus 5, not x plus 5, so I know my answer will be A. Question 12. In the figure above, triangle ABC is similar to triangle DEF. What is the value of cosine E? Well, we know cosine E is the same as cosine B because these triangles are similar. So we know cosine is the adjacent over the hypotenuse. Well, our adjacent is 12 and our hypotenuse is 13. So we know that the cosine of E will equal our adjacent 12 over our hypotenuse 13. So 12 over 13, which is B. Question 13. In the xy plane, the graph of the function f of x equals x squared plus 5x plus 4 has two x-intercepts. What is the distance between the x-intercepts? Well, we know x squared plus 5x plus 4. We know our x-intercepts are our zeros, right? So we can set that equal to 0. So now we have to find factors of 4 that add to 5. Well, factors of 4 that add to 5 are 4 and 1. So we know that we can simplify this to x plus 4 times x plus 1. And now we know our zeros then are going to be x equals negative 4 and x equals negative 1. Now we need to know the distance between these two zeros. So what's the distance between negative 4 and negative 1? Well, the distance between those will be 3. So our answer will be C. Question 14. What are all values of x that satisfy the given equation? Well, we're only given 2 of them that we have to check. And I can go ahead and see that there's no other answer that they would have in our answers where we'd have to solve for anything. So I'm just going to go ahead and plug these in because it's really not that complex of a problem. So I'm going to start off by plugging in 1, right? So I have root 4 times 1, which is just root 4, equals 1 minus 3. Root 4 is 2. 2 equals negative 2. It does not. So therefore, answer choice 1 is not correct. So we can eliminate A and C. Now we'll try number 2, which is 9. We'll plug in 9, so we'll have root 4 times 9, which is equal to root 36. Root 36 is equal to 6. Now is that equal to 9 minus 3? Well, that's equal to 6. 6 equals 6. Therefore, number 2 is correct. So our answer will be B. And I know some of you guys might be thinking the square root of 4 can also equal negative 2, but it cannot So root 4, it does not equal -2. And this will probably show up on, this may show up on the SAT. So just be prepared to know that if you have root 4 or any square root, it can't, like root 4, say it was root 9, right? If it was the square root of 9, it does not equal -3. Square root of 9 does equal 3. Question 15. -3x plus y equals 6, ax plus 2y equals 4. In the system of equations above, a is a constant. For which of the following values of a does the system have no solution? Well, what do we know about systems with no solution? The systems have no solution. We know that their slopes are equivalent because it's linear. There's no exponents here, so that's how I know this. I know that their slopes are going to be equivalent, but I know they're going to have different y-intercepts. Okay? So if their slopes are the same, but they have different y-intercepts, I know the 4 and the 6 have to be different, but I know that the ratio of x to y must be the same. Because think about it. Rise over run is our slope, which is m. Our rise is our y, and our run is our x. So that's the ratio, right? So our x to our y has to be the same. So I see we doubled our y right here. So I know we need to double the coefficient in front of my x. So therefore I know -3 times 2 has to equal -6. So a must be -6. Question 16. A manufacturer shipped units of a certain product to 2 locations. The equation above shows the total shipping cost T in dollars for shipping C units to the closer location and shipping F units to the farther location. If the total shipping cost was $47,000 and 3,000 units were shipped to the farther location, how many units were shipped to the closer location? Well, we know our total cost, T, is $47,000. We know that is equal to 5 times how many were shipped to the closer location, plus 12 times how many were shipped to the farther location, which they tell us is 3,000. Well, 12 times 3,000 is 36,000. So we're left with 5C plus 36,000 equals 47,000. We're going to go ahead and subtract 36,000 from both sides. So we are left with 5C on one side. 47,000 minus 36,000 gets me 11,000. So I have 11,000 equals 5C. We're going to go ahead and divide by 5 on both sides to get C alone. We have 11,000 over 5. 11,000 over 5 is going to equal 2,200. Right? And if you want to write it out and do it, you can. Or you can just try to do it quickly in your head. I did it quickly in my head, but if you have to write it out, that's fine too. So we know how many times does 5 go into 11? It goes in 2. So we have 10. We have a remainder of 1. 5 doesn't go into 1, so we drop a 0. How many times does 5 go into 10? 2. 10 minus 10 leaves me with 0. We drop another 0. How many times does 5 go into 0? 0. Now we drop our last 0. And we had minus 0, 0. Now we drop our last 0. How many times does 5 go into 0? 0. Our answer is going to be 2,200. So I'll put that right here. All right. Question 17. If a and b are the solutions to the equation above, what is the absolute value of a minus b? Alright, well, to do this, when you're given an absolute value equation like 2x plus 1 equals 5, what you're going to do to find both answers is you're going to do 2x plus 1 equals 5, and then you're also going to do 2x plus 1 equals -5. Okay, so to solve, I'm going to go ahead and get x alone by subtracting 1 from each side. I'll be left with 4 equals 2x. I'll divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 4 over 2, which means x equals 2 is one solution. And next, I have 2x plus 1. I'm going to go ahead and subtract 1 from both sides to isolate x. -5 minus 1 gets me -6. -6 equals 2x. I'm going to divide both sides by 2 to get x alone. -6 over 2 is equal to -3. Okay, so I have x equals -3 and x equals 2. But that's not, neither one is my answer, because my answer is going to be what is the absolute value of a minus b. I'll call 2a, call -3b. Well, if 2 is a, then I'll have 2 the absolute value of 2 minus b. I said b is -3, so I'm minus -3. Remember, we're in absolute value, so 2 minus -3 gets me 2 plus 3. 2 plus 3 is 5, so my answer will be 5. Question 18. Juan purchased an antique that had a value of $200 at the time of purchase. Each year, the value of the antique is estimated to increase 10% over its value the previous year. The estimated value of the antique in dollars 2 years after purchase can be represented by the expression 200A, where A is a constant. What is the value of A? Okay, well, my initial value is $200. We increase by 10% each year, so 10% after the first year is 200 times 1.1. That's going to give me 220. After the second year, we go up another 10%, so we multiply by 1.1 again. 220 times 1.1. Well, what's 220 times 1? That's going to be 220. And now, what's 220 times 0.1? Well, we're just going to move the decimal over 1, right? So what we're going to end with is $242. Okay, so now I have $242. That's not my answer, though. That, $242, is my value 2 years after purchase. But I'm asked for the value of A, right? So I have $242 is equal to 200 times A. So I have to divide by 200 to both sides in order to isolate A. So I have A equals 242 divided by 200. So I'm going to go 200 and put that outside the box, and I'm going to put 242 in the box. How many times does 200 go into 242? It goes in once. So now I have 242 minus 200. I'm left with 42. 200 doesn't go into 42, so I drop a 0. When I drop that 0, I get 420. 200 goes into 420 twice, so I have minus 400. Now I'm left with 20. I drop another 0. When I drop that 0, I have 200 again. How many times does that go in? It goes in once. And I'm left with 1.21 as A. Right, and that's my final answer. Question 19. Based on the system of equations above, what is the value of 5x plus 5y? Well, off the bat, I'm looking for a pattern here, right? If I add these, I'm going to end with 5x plus 5y, because I have 2x plus 3x, that's 5x, 3y plus 2y, that's 5y, and then I got 1200 plus 1300, that's 2500, right? So my answer will be 2500, and that one's very quick. Question 20. If u plus t equals 5 and u minus t equals 2, what is the value of u minus t times u squared minus t squared? Well, let's look for a pattern again, right? What's u squared minus t squared? Well, let's think. If we did u plus t times u minus t, we would end with u squared, and then we'd have plus ut, but we'd also have minus ut. So those would just cancel. And then we'd have minus t squared. Right? So we'd have u squared minus t squared. So that means that we can just substitute this out and put in u minus t times u plus t. And if we do u plus t is 5 and u minus t is 2, then we'd have u minus t right here, that's 2. And then we'd have our u minus t again, so times 2 again. And we'd have times u plus t, which is 5, right? So now we've got 2 times 2 times 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, so my answer is going to be 20. Thank you for watching Preeminent Test Prep. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share, as we will be releasing more videos to help you prepare for the SAT.